Can I get a hallelujah? Can I get an amen? Feels like the Holy Ghost running through ya when I play the highway FM.
Welcome to Popcast Deluxe, your surprisingly plastic cactus of weekly cultural review. I am John Caramanica, critic of the New York Times.
I'm Joe Coscarelli. I'm a reporter at the New York Times.
And I'm Maren Morris, and a singer.
She certainly is. There's no argument there. This week, our first interview show, Maren Morris, Grammy-winning country performer or post-country performer. We're going to get into all the action on that. Joe and I got a lot of questions.
And then we will certainly eat a snack at the end, as we do every week on Popcast Deluxe. Only now we will have a third taste tester.
Yeah, again, it's mandatory. It's not negotiable.
It's required.
We got something special for you, something that might speak to your heart and soul, I think.
Okay.
To just like reference something that you mentioned before we were taping, talk to us about Zest Fest.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's,
can't wait.
yeah, go in. What's the energy?
Zest Fest, how do I put this? So it's been around for quite a bit, but it's a hot sauce convention in
Sean Evans, where are you at?
the Metroplex,
I
in
bet
North
he's been.
Texas.
He's probably, yeah, his face is on the posters.
Yeah.
I mean, they have celebrity chefs come and do the cooking demos. But when the chefs aren't on the cooking demo stage, that's where I come in and I play like a 40-minute set, like 3 times a day.
But when you were a child.
When I was 14.
Okay.
I think there's video probably somewhere, but I would play, there was like full band shows too. I can't even believe there was production. But you know, the hours that I wasn't performing, I would go around to every booth at the convention and try like every hot sauce under the sun. My dad actually makes hot sauce now. It's called Vado Blanco, but he won the Golden Chili Award for best medium heat hot sauce.
Incredible. Do you know what the Scoville level
Yeah,
is?
I feel like he has mild, medium, hot. I feel like the medium still it's got a kick.
Okay,
I mean,
can I
it's
order that?
Texan.
Can I
you
order that online?
Yeah,
Heatness?
he'll be really excited. I plugged it.
You also started playing shows as a pretty young person, like in addition to Zest Fest, like the country fair rodeo circuit, right? Like what do you recall about the lessons of those days?
I mean, there was just such a range of type of gigs. I mean, it was chili cook-offs, Zest Fest. It was like country music reviews, parking lots, like on the back of a tailgate, opening like a car wash at one point. Honky tonks, bars, all of it. And then festivals here and there that were like Texas music based. And so that was since I was 10 or 11, starting those.
There's also the footage of you that surfaced on TikTok, I think last year maybe, playing a Battle of the Bands with Casey Musgraves. Is that right?
Me and my band were in a battle of the bands. The story is who we were against in that battle of the bands. If you look right over here next to me, you'll notice a young Casey Musgraves. And it gets better. Right next to her is a young Maren Morris. Yeah, we beat both of them in that battle of the bands.
Were you guys in a band together?
No. So we were like separate. I assume we were separate contestants.
Okay.
And I don't remember like if we were battling or if we just like played a festival lineup that day. But I must have like deleted it from memory just out of survival. My brain was protecting itself. But yeah, just random shit like that all the time.
Right, you did Idol.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Voice.
Okay.
All right, can you do the list?
American Idol, Star Search, The Voice, America's Got Talent, Nashville Star. That was like
Nashville
a niche
Star.
one. There's probably more,
Sure.
but I didn't make any of them.
You didn't like. What's the furthest you got in that bunch?
In Nashville Star, I actually made it to Nashville,
Okay.
and it was really like a traumatizing experience. I was 18, but I just remember like getting cut. And I was slightly, devastated, but also relieved to be going home because it just didn't feel like the right fit anyways. And one of the producers that I actually thought I had like a rapport with because that's their job.
Yeah, to pretend like they're your best friends, not like podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I'm about to like reveal some real. But he asked me like, it was like an exit interview, and he asked me, would your dad be disappointed in you right now?
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
like, dude,
Wow. Just trying
I'm
to
like
make
18.
you just trying to make you cry. Like
Oh.
just in search of tears,
And
right?
I did. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't think he would be. I think he'd be really proud of me. And
Wow.
yeah,
Damn.
just fully went there.
I feel like even just like a recurring thing just in the last 5 minutes of narrative is the unromantic side of becoming successful. And it seems like at various stages along the way, whether it's setbacks or getting cut from auditions, like it's not glamorous to get to the place where you ended up. Like
No.
there's a lot of real challenging steps. And I wonder during that process, at any point are you like, I don't know if the thing that's ostensibly at the end of this is worth whatever these indignities are.
I wish I could say yes, I felt that way at one point, but I think there must be some large dose of delusion in me that I never had a plan B.
Relatable, like-
even in the yeah,
Yeah.
even
truly.
in the embarrassing, stepping stones to get to where I am. Nashville star. So I don't know if that's cockeyed optimism or just your Delulu, but I kind of just always knew in some form or fashion I would be doing this. It didn't matter if I was successful at it or rich doing it.
Because you had put out albums already, right?
Yeah,
Independently.
they've been scrubbed.
I've listened to them on
Shut
YouTube.
up.
Scrubbed is that is not true.
There's probably on MySpace somewhere.
What's like the gem? What's
Yeah,
the
what's the
gem
banger?
from the early?
What's the
Like, what's
banger?
the one that
The
you were like,
banger.
oh man, I wrote this way too soon in my career?
It was probably a bop.
Make me feel safe, lying here with you. It's all that it takes, yeah.
Take us back to that first year in Nashville. Like,
Yeah.
what was your life like?
I still lived at home with my parents, so luckily I didn't have to worry about rent. But I was saving all my money from being a receptionist and also my gigs on the weekends at Zest Fest. I was like, I need to save like $8,000 so I can move to Nashville.
That was the number.
That was, I don't even know where I got that. But I was like, $8,000. I will go to Nashville. I'm going to drive myself up there in a little U-Haul and just find like a roommate on Craigslist, which I did. And I think that would give me at least 6 months to write with everyone I can, get in every room I can, and hopefully it leads to a publishing deal where I, can sustain and live this way. But
And the intention was to be a writer. It
Yeah.
was not to be
An
form of-
artist.
Yes.
yeah, no, I kind of wanted to shed that part of my past too,
Right.
just like in my childhood. But I just wanted to write for other people. It sounded like such a cool job. I mean, I would look up YouTube videos of my now friend and bandmate, Natalie Hemby, playing the Bluebird and playing songs that she wrote for other artists like Miranda Lambert or like Leanne Womack. And I was just, and her version of it was so magical that I just got locked into that being me someday. Like that was the dream. Like I want to play the Bluebird. I want to play my number ones that other artists recorded and I don't have to tour. That sounds great. So that was the dream when I first got there. But then obviously a lot of things changed over like the months. And I remember the day I got my publishing deal offer, I think I had like $200 left in my checking account.
Of the
So
$8,000.
the really blew through that $8,000 fast. The first person that really recorded one of my songs was Tim McGraw. That gave me so much like street cred
Right.
on Music Row. And yeah, from there, like Kelly Clarkson recorded a song of mine. That was my first like pop artist to record something.
Now it's getting even higher. Say what you want about me. You want the gasoline on my fire.
So yeah, it felt like it was being legitimized, but I also started seeing the early stages of, when I moved there, it was like peak bro country. It was like 2013. So
Yeah, like who were the hottest artists in 2013 Nashville?
Florida, Georgia
Florida,
Line.
yeah, I think Cruise maybe came out that year.
the year
So
before, yeah.
I just am so green at this co-writing thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to listen to the radio. I need to follow the trends. I need to write, I'm adapting to this place, not it adapting to me. So I was very deeply respectful of the machine and, still to this day, like some of my best friends are the people I met in that first year in those rights. And it didn't quite hit that first year, but it was starting to feel lopsided. Like, who am I writing for?
When you're listening to the radio and hearing all that bro country era stuff, are you scrambling in your mind and being like, do I have any experiences I can draw on that people like that might sing? Or was it more like, there's no chance, like I've just got to do something that's totally different? Are there like demos floating around of you being like, pickup truck, girls in Miller Lite, like anything like that?
No, there aren't.
I mean,
So
a relief.
I-
A relief.
I guess my hope for myself, which kind of just like sucks, like thinking about now, is like, God, I just hope I get the emotional ballad on the Girls in
Right.
Trucks record, because
Wow.
every once in a while, like in the 14 songs that are on those records, there's one that like is really well written, and it's probably by a woman, and
So you
hits
wanted
home.
you were gunning for the deep cut.
Yeah, that would
basically.
not be a single or
Sure.
pay me, but it would at least feel like I could write something that person heard themselves in. I was hoping that would be me, and I would just find this really deep synergy with an artist that like got obsessed with my voice on these demos and like heard themselves in me. So I feel like they can just hear
There's a
themselves.
natural kinship. Yeah.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying about just I didn't really know who I was writing for, because at the time it was like, okay, there's Miranda, who sometimes records outside songs, but she's
a
an
lot of writing,
she's an incredible songwriter. Like, why would she need to cut something that she didn't write herself or co-write herself? There was Carrie Underwood. There was like Little Big Town, Van Perry at the time.
sure.
So I didn't. That was probably the four.
There's two ways to approach starting out in a place like Nashville. Like, you set your own expectations of like what you think you can achieve, or other people say, actually, I'll tell you what the expectations are.
Yeah.
Were people proactively setting expectations for you and say, hey, this is the dominant sound. You can either play with this set of reference points or work on the margins, in essence? Was that literalized? Did anybody ever say that to you directly?
No, I can safely say in my like 7-8 years of being a major label artist, and even before that, just being a published writer, no one has ever been like, can you make this sound more bro-y?
Right.
It's
Right.
like that I wouldn't have, but I'm really glad that that was never pressed upon me. I think what I've realized is the outside factors and the institutional parts of Nashville, or like kind of mainstream country music, is what ends up being like the insidious sort of manipulative vibe. So
What are the
Like
what
the
are
system,
those?
you're talking like the bigger systemic things.
Yeah.
The paths that artists have to take, whether it's to country radio or to
Right.
the big kind of like award organizations or things of that nature.
all
Yeah.
of the above, but I mean, it's funny because like I still, I get like sweaty because I'm like, what am I about to say? But no, I think when I zoomed out, just and looking at hard, cold facts like
Yeah.
numbers, stats, I was like, this is getting significantly worse each year for people on the margins and women in general. Like, this has been a conversation just ad nauseum, the Tomato-gate
Of course.
stuff.
If you're listening to this and you don't know about Tomato-gate, a writer put out that girls are needed in country music the way a salad needs tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's not a balance, not even, but
Right.
a nice
It's like-
topping to the
yeah,
salad.
It's a nice topping. It makes it look pretty.
It's not improved. It's not even plateaued. It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
So why? And so I think
Specifically, women on the radio.
women on the
in
radio,
country.
people of color,
Sure.
just anyone that is not, white male.
Yeah.
And it's funny as you like dig in deeper, and also me kind of getting to see this in a live sense, opening for some of these artists or playing like a festival where that's the lineup.
Yeah.
The audience is like 90% women.
Yeah.
So is this like internalized misogyny going on here? Because they are the ones that are buying the tickets, they're buying the merchandise. Like, what's happening? They're
Yeah.
the ones listening. You can't.
It's hard to know what the origin point of the problem is.
Right.
And yet you're a female singer-songwriter who has had success on country radio. Like, what did that take?
It was so many early flights, like one-offs, like the radio tour is
7 a.m. in Boise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're playing in conference rooms and, you're auditioning. It was like Nashville Star again, but like in a conference room.
Yeah, so you're like shaking hands and kissing babies, basically.
Yeah, I was like, this is old hat for me. So I'll do it.
And there was no other pathway. Like if you viewed as an artist with a single that had the potential to be big at radio.
Yeah.
You wanted to be big at radio, or you wanted to have success, but there's not another in 2015, there's not another road to that. You have to do the hard path.
Yeah.
You have to go shake every program director's hand.
I mean, even the biggest artist in the world, you could be, Miranda or something. Like no one can just walk the song up the chart. It's a game.
Yeah.
And there's a way of doing it. And as someone that's really committed and competitive too, I wanted my song to do well, and I believed in it. And
You
I was
wanted to
like,
win the game.
Yeah, I wanted to ring the bell. I wanted, as a songwriter as well.
Right.
So I still hadn't had like a number one as a writer. So it was all riding on that.
Now country has caught up in the streaming game, and yet you still had to go the old-fashioned path.
Yeah, I mean, and I was willing to do it. I mean, all of the things, it's not even just a radio tour. It's just like everything you do, there's a satellite tour, and then every award show, there's radio remotes is what they're called, where you basically talk to like 200 stations in a hotel ballroom. And you see all the other artists doing it too. Like Keith Urban's there. I mean, no one's exempt.
Right.
So
It sounds like a
Stapleton's
presidential
there.
primary,
It kind of, yeah.
Like,
And it was maybe
you're going
like
to the fair.
It was reassuring. I was like, everyone's having to do this. Like other artists that aren't in country music, they're
Right.
like, what
They
did
don't
you
have
have to do? Because like when I worked with Zed on The Middle a few years ago,
Why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my mind.
we did maybe like 3 stations together here in New York. And that was it.
Total, yeah.
I
That
mean,
was the
yeah.
only sort of like pressing the flesh promo you had to do.
Right. It's just so much. It's so different in pop. They don't have to do all of the same like steps that we do in country. It's just a different model, but obviously a wider reach. It's a worldwide genre, and it's a game too. But it's a different game.
You say you're as a writer, you're looking around and you're saying, I could write for Miranda, I could write for Carrie, but like really, there's just not many women on the charts at that time. Was part of the competitive energy that you had was like, not only do I want to have a hit as a songwriter, I also want to break through to whatever level that is. Like that's clearly a hard level to break through. Is there something in you that's like, I can do that? Like I can get there.
Part of it was I believed in myself and my songs, and I felt like they were bridging a gap that wasn't there yet. But also, I was willing to do everything that they threw at me.
Yeah.
I wasn't too above anything. I was just like, I want to play the game. I don't want to have any favors. I want to work my ass off to get this song going. No, it's wild because that is how I was discovered by a wide, audience of people, was through this springboard of country music base. And but it was very clear from even like early stages of my church into like my next single, which was 80s Mercedes, which leaned more pop.
Hard to get started when I'm driving, turning every head. Hell, I ain't even trying. Got them Ray-Ban shades, pretty in pink. Call me old school, but hey, I'm a 90s baby in my 80s Mercedes. I'm a 90s baby in my 80s Mercedes.
I mean, the sort of just like backlash
Already
that
at that point?
Yeah.
In what form did it take then?
I mean, ironically, it was just like, she's not country. Look at the way she dresses. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, you don't belong here. Like, what are you? This is not like Dolly, So I was just like, I know it's not. I'm not trying to be. I'm just
Right.
trying to like, I grew
Make
up on
songs
this.
that I like and
But it's
Yeah.
interesting because that was also exciting to people. Because I remember John and I, the first time we saw you at Bowery Ballroom
Yeah.
in
Oh,
probably
yeah.
15,
2015.
16,
Yeah,
He
like
was 16, yeah.
And we looked at each other and we're like, it's an R&B show.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like a
but
pop-
in an excited way,
Yeah.
not in a like, you know, what is she doing
Right.
way,
Sure.
and like
Yeah.
a
We're not
this is
country
the-
radio gatekeepers.
Yeah,
Sure.
like we're like
You're not?
Yeah.
Okay, that Bowery show was my first sort of New York City show,
Yeah.
and I'd never really seen my audience before that show.
Oh, interesting.
Particularly not a New York audience,
Yeah.
and so I think we did an early show and a late show that night because it like sold out, and I was just really floored at looking out at the crowd, even that early on in my, 2 singles out. I was just so bowled over about like the look of the crowd. It felt so diverse and like accepting and loving, and I've only wanted to continue that and amplify that through my work each time and collaborations and like the High Women record. Like all of these things are just to bring people to it and together. But it's just funny because like it's just so blown out of proportion now because I truly,
which part?
well, I mean, just I put my EP, The Bridge, out,
Yep.
I guess like 2 weeks ago. It was just, it's funny because I have been sitting on those songs since January, and they were sort of following a ton of like traumatic and I felt like I really just, I don't want to say goodbye, but I really cannot participate in the really toxic arms of this institution anymore. And
Nashville. In Nashville.
yeah, I mean, like I love living in Nashville. I have, my family there. I truly like. There's a reason why people come there from LA and New York to write with us. It's because we have amazing songwriters there. So that's not going to change. But yeah, I couldn't do this like sort of circus anymore of like feeling like I have to absorb and explain people's bad behaviors and, laugh it off or what, I just couldn't do that after 2020 particularly. It was just like, I've changed. A lot of things changed about me that year.
Were there losses? Like you're saying, like you're succeeding within the Nashville system.
Yeah.
Like at least from the outside, like where do you feel like what were you losing? Like was that all internal and behind closed doors?
Probably like internal, but I think it's a little bit hyperbolic to be like, she's left country music because that's ridiculous. But I certainly can't participate in a lot of it. So I'm okay kind of just going and doing my own thing and like, come with me if you please.
Right.
Like everyone's welcome.
Does that
But-
mean no more country radio, no more ACMs, no more CMAs? Like where do you draw the line? Like what are the parts of like because you also
Like,
have
will you
your
go if
community
invited?
there.
I asked to not like submit to my music.
Right.
I don't know if it's forever or it's just how I'm feeling in this current state, but not submitting my work for those
To the
to be
institutional
nominated.
award.
Yeah, I'm not shutting off fans of country music, or that's not my intention. It's just the music industry that have to walk away a few like factions from. But I think like there's so many progressive listeners too that listen not just to one genre. So like they can dabble in country, the next day they're in hip hop. So I think that that's always kind of been like my MO from the jump, even
Right.
from my first record. So it's like all are welcome. But no, all the like negativity and that initial backlash, even in 80s Mercedes My Church era, was like the writing on the wall for
Sure.
what was to come.
Well, yeah, because we're sort of skipping over a lot of the
Yeah, we've bounced around.
the like controversies
Right.
that you found yourself in between.
And
Yeah.
and one of my questions about that era, especially like post 2020, was, and I feel like I find myself every time I go to Nashville, like everybody I talk to, I'm always trying to like scratch the surface on these sorts of questions, which are, I can sense from you a fatigue in having to have served as some kind of intermediary and saying, I am a participant in this industry, but I would also like to let these people know y'all are not handling racial equity well. You're not handling gender equity well. Like, and someone has to speak up. And if it's got to be me, it's going to be me. And I have things to say. When you were doing that in real time, are other artists behind you saying, thank you for doing, and I mean like white artists, or even white men.
Yeah.
Like, is anybody saying, thank you for doing it? I would find it hard to do with my fan base, but we really appreciate that you were doing it. Or was it more the opposite of people being like, oh, we can't believe why are you stepping in this?
It's so ingrained and sort of Pavlovian to just be like, you are not allowed to criticize this family ever.
Yep.
You feel like, or not Pavlovian, but like you feel like the shot caller. Not only are you criticizing our way of life, which I'm not, you're criticizing every fundamental belief we have. You're criticizing Jesus. You're criticizing blue collar workers. You're criticizing farmers. Like, they will go to these lengths to justify the abuse and discrepancies that exist within the machine of what this is. So I think, like, once you sort of open your eyes to it and realize, like, and it was during the time when, like, my song The Bones, like, it won at the CMAs that year.
Gonna move it when the bones are good. The rest don't matter. Yeah, the pain could peel. The glass could shatter. Let it rain. 'Cause you and I remain the same.
It went for like a 2-week #1, and that hadn't happened with a woman in like 8 years, probably since like Carrie. And so on this high, this career high and critical high, that was also like 2020. So it was just a lot of things for me. Like, it was a mind. Like, there's rarely any women in any of the big categories. It's just reserved for like female vocalists or whatever. And I gave a speech about it. But there's just like no people of color nominated at all.
Was that the first time you felt like you had really used your cultural and commercial cachet that you'd built up within Nashville to then sort of break the rules and speak out against the family? Like, was that speech your like first freeing moment?
Maybe not the first, but certainly the widest looked at, I would say. And honestly, I didn't even go super dark. I was just like, I want to highlight some artists I think you should go check out.
There are some names in my mind that I want to give recognition to because I'm just a fan of their music, and they are country as it gets. Linda Martell, Yola, Mickey Guyton, Rissy Palmer, Brittany Spencer, Rhiannon Giddens. There are so many amazing Black women that pioneered and continue to pioneer this genre.
And it was also the third time I had been up there that night. So I was like, I can't keep thinking, the same people.
Right.
Here's some music to check out.
You felt like it was received as a provocation by some people?
I'm sure. Yeah, I know it was. I think most of it was support. But of course, like anytime you aren't thanking God, it's like,
right.
What the hell is she talking about?
Yeah, only thank God and your producer and your label.
and my label.
And the radio programmers.
Country radio.
Yeah,
and
Country
our
Radio.
friends at Country Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I wish there was like a Righteous Gemstones episode about all of this.
Righteous Gemstones country spinoff.
Oh my God. And Sturgill could be in it again.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah.
Put Sturgill in it. Okay, but so then you sort of like, you seem to get your legs a little bit in terms of like, all right, every now and then when I feel called, I'm going to say, no, this isn't right. This isn't right. And I think what people who are maybe casual country fans or fans who know you through pop don't understand is like how you're going out on a limb each and every time, right? So then, flash forward to early 2021 and you have Morgan Wallen, biggest star in country, puts out this blockbuster album, gets caught using a racial slur, and you and people in your tight-knit Nashville community are very quick to not only speak out, but to speak out strongly. Like, I think, I'm sure you remember your tweet more than I do, which was, and you're like, I think we know, this isn't his first scuffle. Like, it sounds like he said this word before. Like, you didn't hold back at all, really.
I predicted the future, I think, because it was just like, this will be protected. This will be amplified even bigger, and it'll succeed.
And yet Nashville is such a small town that like you have a song with Wallen. Like, he's recorded one of your songs. Your husband has written for him. Like, did that I feel like how intense does that feel to be able to like press send to however millions of people when you're calling out somebody in this family circle?
I mean, honestly, naively, it didn't feel that powerful to press send. I was just like awake. I was actually in Hawaii working with Greg, and I just felt, obviously physically so far removed from Nashville in that moment.
Was that part of it, you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
The distance.
Like this will be a blip.
This will blow, yeah.
This will blow over. I'll get back home next week and everything will be exactly the same. No, I didn't realize I had lit the fuse, but I underestimated, like I have a lot, the power of the town and also every like kind of broken thing about it and how it protects itself no matter what. Like it's very historically accurate for that reaction to happen that way. And so, that sucked. Not because I regret what I said, because I absolutely don't. It needed to be condemned publicly by peers.
Exactly.
Not just, radio or the label, like putting them on notice or whatever they ended up doing
that's what I was going to say. Like, it seemed like maybe the institutions of country were treating this as different. Whether it was because of the
felt
time,
like that for a
radio
moment.
was like, we're not going to play that. Yeah. Like, did you have hope that it was going to be different that time? Or as you said in the tweet, like you always knew that there might be a gesture towards it, but then everything reverts back to how it was. Were you cynical?
Yeah, I was cynical. I think rightfully so. I've maybe not to that degree seen something so awful, but it was just like this perfect timing storm of how it all went down. But I mean, no, I was expecting a gesture and then back to business as usual. Let's pretend that didn't happen. But the pain that it caused, and I'm not talking about the slur, because how would I know what that feels like?
Sure.
I'm white. For me, the fallout, oh my God, the like death threats, and not just against me, but like against my son, could never have fathomed it would go there just off of, criticizing a racial slur. And
but in many ways a preview of the political discourse and the cultural discourse of the last 12 months or 6 months. The way that people draw quick ties between superstars, political statements, and potential, notions of political violence or cultural violence. I mean, this sounds like a template for what we're now living in, especially in regards to a lot of what's happening in country music.
Yeah, it was definitely, it felt like a warning shot back then. I mean, that feels like 50 years ago now. I don't even apologize for like my, because I don't even think they're missteps, but like I don't tweet anymore.
How were you punished for speaking out in that way?
I mean, I would say the other kind of downside of like saying what you believe is, like the friends that you thought were friends that you lose, that are your writing peers or artist peers, few that I've gotten into public arguments with that have once at one point like offered me slots on their tour. Like it's I'm not afraid of artists. Like those are the only people I truly care about, honestly. They're the ones making the decisions. They're the ones giving writers a shot. Like they're keeping
the ones
it
who
in
can
business.
they can make change.
They
if
can
they
make
want.
change. That's a perfect way of saying it. That's what not everyone needs to use that power, but when you use it for bad, it is just so unacceptable to me. And I like not afraid to hold people accountable, but like I also, especially in the last year, I don't feel like that is my crown to wear every fucking time, So I think not that I want anyone else to like endure what I've, gone through. I'm so ready to like just go elsewhere and like look at the light and bring the people who want to come along with me. But honestly, like I just truly, like as someone that has grown up listening to, I'm from the South, like listening to country music, growing up on the women of it particularly.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I think like I've just had to kind of find my own patch of grass with all of it, and I'm really like fortunate that I can do all of this and even like sit here and talk to you guys freely without these like, you know, these ropes. And it's because I had to like make some really big sweeping changes that maybe don't feel like that big of a deal, but they do to me because it's terrifying, like to do what I've done, and
To speak out against
yeah, and
racism or sexism in Nashville. That's something that simple is like
yeah, or to even like depersonify a genre of music that is so held as a god in some ways, especially to you know the system of it. It is so propped up as, and I kind of said this in my LA Times conversation, but just like the indoctrination of like stay in line, do not ever question the way we do things because you're lucky to even be in the door. We only let 3 of you in and you made it. So like, shut up. And so it's like, that's terrifying, especially as like a newer artist.
I feel like sometimes you talk to people in the town and they're like, most artists are actually pretty left-leaning, but they can't.
But it's a secret.
Yeah, it's like they're closeted.
in the closet,
They're closeted left-leaning. Both before, I mean, obviously we're in a particularly polarized moment right now, but going back even pre-2020, like, did you find that people were typically politically aligned with you, but didn't necessarily feel they had the standing, courage, or stability to speak out?
Yeah, I think so, because I don't know when the sort of like culture war ended up like infiltrating the country music space for sure, more than any other genre. But I don't know. It's like, does it go back to like 9/11? Like,
You know, I've been thinking a lot about that moment lately because I remember feeling at the time, I don't know how country music is going to evolve past this. And then it did to a certain degree. I felt like the music towards the end of the 2000s was starting to get a little bit more musically diverse. Obviously, you're moving into the early 2010s, and like, for whatever you say about the sort of subject matter of bro country, musically, it was testing the boundaries
Sure,
of
yeah.
like how producers were working. So
and
you
I
thought
also want to say, like, there are bro country songs that
that are
slap.
killed.
Yeah.
Like,
Killer.
I
Yeah.
remember, like, just being jealous I didn't write it, you know, because it was just like, it was a bop. Sorry.
No.
No,
not
like,
all bro country is pejorative.
and
Yes.
that's no, totally. And there's like a great way to do it. Like, I just am even if I'm not listening to the lyrics, like the actual musicality of it, I will admire because I get down with. But also, like, anytime some sort of like Americana dude or someone like purist would be like, "Oh, they're ruining country music," I'm like, it's popular.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's that's the way of the world. And it's like I never even co-signed with all the on bro country sound
Right.
because I was like, it has elements of pop.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
an
There,
R&B.
at least
hip-hop.
there,
Yeah.
at least
And-
there's some rap
I'm like,
bounce to this.
Nellie's
Yeah.
hanging out here?
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
great.
Yes, my millennial heart. So it's funny to like even be in that camp sometimes to be like, listen, I'm here if the song is catchy.
Right.
Of course, like being infiltrated as the artist in this sort of paradigm, I can look at like how we can shift this for the better or try my damnedest to. But no, like I haven't turned on a country station in a very long time, but I am sure, you know, there are plenty of things that I would love or feel like, oh God, who wrote this? Like, yeah.
So
But,
no more country radio for you at the moment?
well, I told y'all earlier, like, I don't even listen to music in my car. I just listen to podcasts. So yeah, it's like, I can't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I listen to the Popcast, obviously. Yeah, I just want to hear people like having a benign conversation in the background. I can't like any more music. It just, my brain gets tired.
Is it a little bit bittersweet that the sort of crossover explosion of country now in the streaming era this year, you know, like numbers are crazy all over the charts, even, you know, the top of the Hot 100 over and over again, but it's now so intertwined with the culture war. Like, is there any part of you that's like, oh, we were supposed to get here
5 years ago.
5 years ago in a different way, like without it being
politicized.
Yeah, Aldean or politicized essentially. Like, is there, or can you still feel like a little bit of victory in like something like The Success of Fast Car by Luke Combs or whatever?
I mean, it's never gonna be perfectly done, but no, I think country music is such a like powerful arm of that because it is so steeped in, you know, weirdly like patriotism or quasi patriotism, lots of like overt hypermasculinity, whiteness. I mean, that's just like how it's been from the jump. I don't know when it got kind of sort of like, what's the word, like co-opted fully in this way, but no, I mean, it's not always fun, and actually a lot of times it's really lonely. But I think it's true that having the conversation at all, even if we take 2 steps back, 1 step forward, and we do this dance for years, does feel like the flame is getting hotter. And so maybe it's like this last stand of just like hatefulness. I don't know.
And that's I wonder if country can unlearn in the way that sort of in like 03 and 04 it was sort of moving away from the really jingoistic stuff that you got in like 01 and 02. Like, I wonder if there's an opportunity or sort of an evolutionary push where after this very intense, hot politicized moment, what's lurking around the corner? Like, is something, like, are we going to live in 10 years of the try that in a small town moment? Or are we going to live in 18 months of it and then something, whether it's a musical evolution, a political evolution, a lyrical evolution, something's hovering just around the corner to say, okay, enough. Like, we're going to move in this direction.
I mean, it is cool for me to see like country artists starting to tour more overseas, but it is encouraging because I feel like it means the music's translating to a world level, which means it's evolving. I would hope for the better, and it's becoming worldly music, like much like pop is. So that feels like a step in the right direction, but also there are people that they don't want it to grow bigger. They want it to just be theirs. And
yeah, I mean, I think you see some of that retrenchment in like something like The Success of Oliver Anthony, you know, where people are like, regardless of the politics of the lyrics themselves, where people are like, finally, like something authentic, like just a guy and his guitar, like none of this hip hop crap or whatever, you know, like that's the subtext of it to me is like, you know, it's musically pure, quote unquote, in some way, and that has its own connotations.
Political, which is why I feel like the political valence of that song was like maybe not fully, I mean, it wasn't fully clear, I don't think, but it also wasn't fully read correctly, because after they used that song at the Republican debate, and then he's like, yeah, I basically wrote this song about those guys. Like, it's weird that they're embracing it. So what's striking to me about that record, and I sort of see a little bit of a connection with the Oliver Anthony thing and like, say, the rise of Zach Bryan, which does feel like adjacent to Nashville. It's like it's referent to it, but it's not inside of it. And it feels like it's trying to exist in this quasi, almost like a post-political space of like, I want to bring people together. I want people to come and sing along. I want people to shout the lyrics. And let's not get into tussles. Like, y'all are tussling over there. That's, y'all keep that over there. That's how some of this feels to me.
Yeah, like what did you make of the Oliver Anthony moment, like just musically?
I mean, before I heard the lyrics, I was like, this guy can sing his ass off. Yeah, and I really do love that type of sound. I like bluegrass. I grew up listening to a lot of that. And, you know, anything with like a soulful tinge, I'm down for. I think it was the second verse that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, plot
I was
twist.
like, oh, we're so, plot twist. But yeah, it's I don't have like a ton of like, you know, opinion on it, but I mean, I did think it was crazy, and it was just like kind of compounded with the small town thing. It was just, these are all getting like co-opted by the conservative right, and this is theirs now. And I kind of did appreciate Oliver Anthony being like, no, it's not. I love that he was just like, no, this wasn't for you. So I was like, that's kind of badass, but yeah, a lot of problematic stuff with that verse.
Okay, talk to us about The Tree then, because The Tree is a song you wrote that I think on its surface could be about a bad relationship with another human, right? It's like I think if you know your story, the lyrics might hit different. But if you're really involved in even like the tabloid and social media aspects of your career, but if you just hear this song on the radio or it comes on streaming, like it might not seem like a shot necessarily at Nashville. You know, there's a lot of more intense imagery in the video that sort of hint at what you were really trying to say.
Sure.
I hung around longer than anyone should. You've broken my heart more than anyone could. Trying to stop me won't do you no good. I've already planted the seeds. Ooh, do you hear that? It's the sound.
Like when you were sitting down and writing that song, did it come from like, I'm writing a breakup song with Nashville? Or did that happen later?
I just had this like the line of I'm done filling a cup with a hole in the bottom, which just felt so country to me. You know, Jimmy Robbins, Laura Veltz, who I write a lot of my stuff with, I was like, I have this idea, but I need to make it feel, you know, applicable to many situations, not just, you know,
That's the country in you.
my
Where you're
burnout.
like, I have a
Yeah.
specific idea, but I
don't
need
go
it to be
specific.
universal.
Keep it general. Yeah. But I was like, it needs to be like a screamer of a vocal because I need to get this out. But I don't know if it was like I'm breaking up with Nashville. I think it was like I have to make something like beautiful out of this because I'm going to go insane and I want to love living here again. I want to like create my piece of land that feels safe and I feel like I'm going to have to like burn everything around it down and just be on this island. That's how I felt at the time. I don't feel like that anymore. But I just in the most like metaphorical of ways, it's like, this is not a family. This is
not a family I want to be a part of.
yeah, it's kind of like doing like an intervention with your like family member, and where you're just like, I'm really trying to help you, but like I'm not going to enable this, and so, just like I've done a million times, so like wrote my way out of this, you know, pit of despair, and I felt like it's okay to walk away from something that's already burning itself down. Like you don't even have to do anything to help it burn. Like it was already doing it. It was
You're
already
pouring
rotting.
like a Dixie cup of water on a big old conflagration.
Yeah, and also just like the references. There were so many more I wanted to do in the video. Just callbacks to like in my early career of people just like saying you're not country and all these things that like used to really hurt my feelings because I was like I am, but I think everything like melting in Get the Hell Out of Here, like the part 2 of the video.
Do the best I can, but the more I hang around here, the less I give a damn. So do I.
The imagery of this town being like completely Mr. Rogers looking and like Truman Show-esque, but it's not real. That to me just like really is the entire theme of that song. Is like, this is as real as you've made it in your mind, but you can walk away and be exactly the same, maybe even better. And you don't have to be responsible or have this like guilt on your conscience that you like burned it to the ground, because it's just, you're going to get caught in it too. And I've been burned and I've tried to make it better. I've tried to like be inclusive and like bring people into the fold, and even like outside artists of the genre and you know, like the Highwomen. I've really tried to just like make country music's case to them and like why, well, you can't talk about my family, but I can, you know, is that sort of like, you know, protective mode that I feel like the genre and the town like ingratiates in you. I do think that was getting really exhausting of feeling like the hall monitor.
Well, you mentioned hall monitor and also the translator in a sense of like, you're the one person that the sort of like progressive outsiders would take seriously from inside the town.
Yeah.
And you're also the one person for people who are inside the town who are like, oh, well, she's, you know, she understands what's happening in the rest of the world.
Yeah, translator is a good word for it, because like in a few times in the last several years, I've had like artists that I've worked with that aren't in this genre, be like, what the hell is going on in Nashville right now?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not. It's Keeper.
Right.
Like I just
That
live here.
sounds like the heart of what you're getting at is you're sick of being the keeper. Like you're sick of having to explain away both internally and externally.
But like that's probably a crown I've given myself. Like it's no one's expecting me to do that. But like I feel like I'm having to be this great interpreter because I've worked with like so many different kinds of artists that, you know, trust me and also like respect what I do, not just musically, but like the sort of like moral clarity of it all. Yeah, I did feel like I was running in circles trying to like put out fires. And like I just realized no one asked you to do this. You put this responsibility on yourself. No one asked for this. And like you're killing yourself over it. So you're going to do another year of this?
No, you got to preserve your own health.
Yeah, actual health
Right.
too, not just like mental health, but like I remember after the shit in like 2021 or whenever it was like my hair started falling out. It was like actually attacking my own body. So the stress is like a very real thing. So I just had to like make many chops to kind of just like still be here.
You talk about like the personal costs, but like, do you feel like there were, and you allude a little bit to like commercial and career costs. Like, do you feel like your actions and words in 2020 and 2021 damaged the reception to Humble Quest?
On a humble quest, and am I to my best?
Especially because it was so true to the sound of Nashville?
It really didn't affect my career negatively because luckily I can still go out and tour and do all of these things because I had success
Right.
from it. But like the discrepancy between like men and women on the chart is even worse. So
Sure.
look at the people that are like doing the same exact things I did, putting great music out, not getting played. They're doing all the same like radio tour, even after COVID, even though streaming is starting to extremely surpass it. And it's worse than ever on the chart. And then the playlisting is also like extremely slanted. So, I mean, it's hard to be like, I'm the one that got affected by it when there are no women on the chart. There's
But you're the
two.
only one who said insurrectionist Barbie.
That's true, yeah. I know. So it's like whether you speak up or you don't and you keep playing the game, like they're still not going to play you.
Right, you're losing either
Yeah.
way.
And
Yeah.
also the musical turn that you're making, obviously, so many female country performers have had to make an equivalent turn at some point, whether it's Taylor, it's Casey, it's the Chicks.
Yeah.
At some point, you know, whether it's a ceiling or a wall or whatever, something gets hit.
Yeah.
And either you say, that's not bust throughable, or I simply would rather pursue another way of approaching my music, or I'd rather have the conversation about what my music should be with myself,
Yeah.
not with these people who are putting up the ceiling or putting up the wall. But it happens over and over and over again. And when you look at that cycle, I mean, here you are, you're working on a record with Jack Antonoff, but you look at this cycle of, frankly, incredible female country performers before you,
Yeah.
who have all had to at some point say, I just can't. I just won't.
All of which have like mentored me in some way too. So I think that for me, wanting to sort of, you know, I'm a girl's girl. I've always had women out on the road, whether it be on stage or in my crew or openers. I feel like as a sister, as a friend, as a mother, looking at this like influx of young female pop artists or alternative artists like popping through TikTok, like dominating, crushing streaming numbers. I mean, if you're still listening to the radio, you go to pop, it is like 9 songs out of 10 women.
Yep.
Like the little girls growing up and maybe someday wanting to be a songwriter or a singer or whatever, work in the music industry, and they are looking at pop right now. The world is their oyster, it looks like. But in country, like what standard are we setting?
Right.
What is a little girl or like a little like gay kid in the South at home when they look at this like format right now? What are we teaching them? That they're not welcome, even if they do everything right and look exactly the way that they're supposed to look or sound or say or perfect twang to their voice. Like, thank Jesus in everything you do. Like, it's you're not here. You're not allowed here until we like, you know, you've eaten enough shit, I guess, to do it. But I just don't understand. Like, and I felt like this 10 years ago. I was like, who am I writing for? I feel like now more than ever, the women in these audiences, or like the little girls at home, like they only see themselves in these songs as scenery or objects. And it's just like, it's heartbreaking because the few women that are like kicking ass and still writing the best songs, like can't even get radio play. And I thought they had been given the keys to the kingdom 15 years ago. Like, it sucks. And so I was just like, I don't know if my life's work, I can like pour into that.
Yeah.
And it's not the trope of like, you know, biting the hand that fed you. That is such a control tactic. That is such a like thought terminating cliche. And I just like, I'm really not even trying to be like negative. I was just like, I have got to like, even if it's in a smaller way, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I've got to do this so I can sleep at night and like feel like a good mom and set a good example for like my employees and, you know, my fellow songwriters. I was just like, I'm going to have to find a different way. And it feels like very untread, but like, I was out with the Chicks, you know, a week or two ago, opening for them in Canada. And
Good people to be with at this exact moment in your career.
I was like crying for 2 days straight because I was just like, this is insane. Like, we did not plan it this way. I accepted that tour opening slot like a year ago, but I was just like, that is insane, kind of meant to be timing. Just like looking at my heroes that are playing arenas. They are so loved and missed. I think they just played in Nashville. And like, it was pandemonium.
Sure.
And they were, I don't know, it felt kind of maybe like they were afraid to go back to Bridgestone because the last time I think they were there was with Beyonce at the CMA Awards.
We hadn't done any country award shows or anything since the controversy. It's
Absolutely.
the highest rated 15 minutes in CMA history. And then they start getting, you know, racist bombarding their website with comments and emails and whatever.
It's just been such a life-changing, positive move forward. And I have not questioned any of my choices. And I'm still writing, so like the record's not done. But I felt like these songs felt like a good like stepping stone to whatever is next. And I needed to get it off my chest so I could continue writing and clear that air to be able to kind of get back in the room again. I just feel like so proud and like relieved to have these songs out because they actually are the most like quintessentially like country lyrical songwriting I think I've ever done, and it just was so cathartic. But
Why Jack for producer?
One of the most common questions I think John and I get in our jobs is like, why do so many female artists want to
turn
work with
to
Jack
Jack.
Antonoff? Like, you know, I mean, we don't have to go through the list. Taylor, Lana, Lorde, the Chicks, Florence, you know, just over and over and over
St.
again.
Vincent,
Like, St. Vincent. I mean, like, can you explain to to people like why you think that pattern persists and what makes Jack special as a producer, and especially a producer of women?
I can't speak for the other artists that he works with, but my experience with Jack is that he's just so egoless. It's not about the stats or the accolades. Just like, he's not pompous at all. I just think that I feel safe with him also. Like, there's no, and I also, Laura Sisk, his engineer, that is the first time I've ever seen a female engineer just
Yep.
always in the room. There's
Wow.
just something like
Yeah.
having a
Which
woman.
is crazy because you've been in a lot of rooms.
A lot of
A lot of
rooms.
studios.
Never seen that. I think just his right hand woman always being there just instantly puts you at ease. I don't know why. It's like that's why we need matriarchy. Just the more women, even on tour, if you put more women in a situation, things are cleaner, things feel safer for both sexes, not just girls. And it never feels like stressful walking into that studio. Sometimes you can walk into like a dark, dank studio and feel like, oh God, this is real masculine energy in here. A lot of my opinions are going to be like shrunk.
Absolutely minimized. So it's less a quest for a specific sound or sonic approach or genre reimagining. It's less that and more the creation of a space in which those possibilities feel more available than any specific target point at the end.
It's just about sort of tinkering around as long as you kind of want to in this beautiful space. I mean, the genre word never comes up.
I feel like after the last hour of purging.
Purging is the word.
Yeah, but I feel like reward is in order.
Should we eat a snack?
I'm desperate to eat a snack.
We have to eat a snack.
Yeah.
So look, we wanted to honor your heritage as a Texan.
Yeah.
I got on the internet. I got some Buc-ee's beaver nuggets.
Oh Yay.
Okay.
Tell the people what Buc-ee's is.
Like this is for
Okay.
us. I'm a humble city boy. What do I know about a beaver nugget? Nothing. Let's talk to the people. What's
Okay.
going on here? Yeah.
Buc-ee's is a gas station in the South. So if you're on a long road trip, stop at a Buc-ee's. It's snacks for days, part like gas station, part restaurant, part gift shop.
That's like a Wawa.
Yeah,
the
it's like
Wawa of
Texan
the South.
Wawa, right?
What's that?
Oh.
Wow.
Next time you're here, we're getting Wawa snacks.
Although
That's
Okay.
it's a
Philadelphia.
road trip. It's Philly's
It's-
version.
It's
Okay.
Philly's Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an emporium, and I would
Emporium
say,
is a good word.
Yeah.
And the logo
It's a beaver.
Bucky is a beaver, right?
Bucky's a beaver. My son might have a plush Bucky. at
Wow,
home.
incredible. Okay, so
Okay.
we have one Bucky's
We have
bag.
original. So we've got original flavor. Then what is
That's
this?
all
is,
I've had is the original.
Okay.
And also, if you're wondering, a beaver nugget is basically just like a giant corn puff.
Corn puff. Yeah, sure.
They're sweet.
So I have sea salt caramel.
Okay.
Corn puff?
This is the cinnamon sweet. So I have not had these sort of like branch off flavors. So
We believe in spin-off snacks on Deluxe.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like we like a main line, but we love an extension.
These are great. I actually think I might like these more than the originals.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Should we do musical nugs? You gonna try?
Okay.
All
This
right.
is great. I mean,
I'm back.
those are just the caramel popcorn in the 3-flavor
Yeah.
popcorn tin, which I love.
I have these in my pantry right now at home.
I like the caramel, but I don't know if it's an improvement on the original.
Okay.
So
I'm
the
not sure if it's
caramel,
doing a lot.
the sea salt caramel and the cinnamon sweet taste exactly the same to me,
They kind of
which is just like
have all
sugar.
clumped together.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotate, last rotation.
I'm excited about the
Dream
salt.
beaver nugget rotation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Okay.
Oh wow, the cinnamon smells really intense on this stuff.
Ooh, you know what these smell like? This is a deep cut. Maybe my favorite sugary cereal of all time, Waffle Crisp.
Wait.
Have you ever had Waffle Crisp?
I had Cookie Crisp.
Little mini waffles.
These are way too gummy.
I like them.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna have to go to the dentist immediately.
Maybe
to
your
extract.
fingers are like melting the
Maybe.
sucrose down.
Okay, these are all the same. These are all the
Yeah.
same.
It's like butter.
Yeah, they all taste just like butter.
It's so good though.
Really
It's like
good.
a-
All right,
like
so
coffee.
where are you?
I'm giving one score because these are all identical.
Okay.
They're all identical. I will say the cinnamon might put a slight edge on those.
I, as a man of the people, we're going original issue. I'm gonna call it a soft 7.
Okay.
It's a
Oh.
soft 7.
Okay.
This to me is like a 4.
Lower.
The texture's wrong. That's like a 6.5.
Okay, to me, again, I
All
don't
the
taste
same.
the difference. I think they're delicious. I'm going 8 out of 10.
I love it.
I'm gonna say 6, 8. Cinnamon sweet is a 9. So
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Wow.
That is bold.
I'm also like starving and going to dinner after this.
That is
so, like,
actually part of our strategy.
it's like
is to
water in the
starve
desert.
cash.
Yeah.
What's part of the strategy? Thank you for playing along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to every podcast ever at nytimes.com/popcast. Popcast Deluxe is tinyurl.com/popcast deluxe. Get the whole index of episodes. Email us, popcast@nytimes.com. Get in the Discord. Get in the Facebook group. It's tinyurl.com/popcast discord or /popcast Facebook. Our senior producer is Sawyer Roque. Our editor is Jamie Heffitz. Thank you, as always, to Karen Gantz, Nel Galogli, Pedro Rosado. Who else we got to thank?
Leslie Davis.
Leslie Davis, Pat Gunther.
The whole team.
It's go time. We'll be back next week.